on this YouTube lesson number 11. Let's see the syllabus. You have it here, and you see where we are. Trusted against untrusted domain. So it's a tricky topic. There are security professionals that base all entire their career in identity access management. It's a complex topic, and it's a really dynamic one. You can authenticate user, you can authenticate application. Zero trust design is obviously extremely binded to the identity concept, and you need to understand the complexity of the topic. I can't discuss that in deep, but I will try to browse you, uh, giving you an overview of the attacker perspective. So this one is the information security consultant course, and the main target is to make you think. So when you have a topic, you'll try to see the problem from an attacking perspective. So there is no better place than start with browsing the technique itself. In this case, domain trust discovery. In an information gathering attack stage, find the trust in identity terms is extremely important, because you can base a lateral move also based on that. And so you need to understand how this discovery phase is really important, and you need to look after that. You are aware of how many malware are including Bloodhound, for example. Other good tool like PowerSploit, but don't forget that it's not about the tool, it's about the concept. And this list of example, it will always change. So focus on the idea that leverage trust means that you trust somebody else to authenticate and authorize for you. And if you compromise a piece of infrastructure, you want to expand and move laterally across even others. So we discussed all physical lateral move links, express route, the MPLS, and how the attacker can move across the organization. Now, there is a really nice article that you have a link here on the top of the page, and I do suggest you to go through that. Is explaining the relationship and how is abused in ransomware. It's extremely well written. I do like it. Bloodhound is cool, is Neo4j and give you snapshot like this one where you see all attack pattern. So the article is obviously stressing how important it is to find the attack pattern in terms of IM. And we do discuss also how recognize this information gathering. CrowdStrike is listing, for example, the logic behind on how you should mitigate this problem. So Bloodhound can be your tool to discover this attack pattern, but you need to be capable also to spot when the tool or a tool is trying to leverage and discover your trust. Don't forget how actual is the topic also in cloud implementation. There are tons of ransomware abusing Active Directory weakness, bug, and we can talk about Golden SAML and any other conversation around security protocol as well. And we are going to. But understand how each environment you are having is configured also from an identity perspective is mandatory. It's not just something that is good to know. It is a portion, a really big one of your analysis. So if you get an infrastructure to be reviewed, you can have somebody pushing you network design, fancy cloud diagram, trying to understand also the authentication on top and how works the trusted and untrusted domain. So from you, it's mandatory for me to discuss about SAML. SAML is not the only one, but it is one of the open standard that is used. I stress the importance to use cheat sheet. You can be good, you can know everything, but you can forget something. So using cheat sheet is good to have a reference and to go through trying to understand if you forgot something. You should know it. I'm not saying that you should demand to the Googling. You need to be knowledgeable about the topic, know how to interact, but you'll see in this cheat sheet, for example, how valid are the suggestions in terms of security countermeasure. So this kind of suggestion formulated in this manner are easy to be understood, good for an overall review. So don't be afraid to use cheat sheet. You are aware of the topic, you are knowledgeable about the topic, but you need to be humble also to see if you forgot something. And something that, for example, is always good to check is the identity provider and service provider consideration, because there is a lot of architecture in there. You see how many points you should stress about it. I give you a practical example of how SAML, for example, vulnerability was a key point into an Office 365. So this article is about Office 365 bug that could have allowed attacker to log into virtually any device, but the zoom in of the issue can be summarized here. The fact that there was no validation was the main important things. I do love how this article is structured because it's explaining the problem and is immediately after going for the attacker perspective. It's something that you shouldn't underestimate. Summarize the problem and twist the vision into the attacking is what I'm stressing along all courses. Every video that I did so far, I always trying to give you an overview of a topic, uh, expecting that you'll zoom in more in deep on your own, and I'm stressing the attacking perspective. I see in security architecture a lot of conversation on threat modeling, but to do threat modeling, you need to know what is the threat. And if you don't continuously twist the topic from one to another one in terms of size, you're not going to have that flexibility mentally to evaluate things. And so take it as a habit, take it as a message of volunteer course. See something from one side, see the opposite side. Your point of view can be different than somebody else. Add a structure to that, and how you evaluate it is the winning point of a security professional. So I can't stress enough that the difference between OAuth and SAML. There is a lot of confusion. I don't know why, because at the end it is extremely easy and summarized is. So the last sentence here is, unlike SAML, OAuth, it doesn't deal with authentication. In fact, it's called open authorization. It looks silly that I specify that, but I hear confusion all the time long, and it's not good. So when you are doing threat modeling, you need also to understand at which layer you are, what you are talking about, and the principle that sounds so CISP oriented, but are principles that always work. CIA, and so confidential, integrity, and availability, but for identity is authentication, authorization, and accountability. Don't forget even accountability too, because sometimes the focus is only on the first two, but you need to work as an infrastructure security consultant, giving suggestion on how improve visibility, avoiding the tampering of those logs. You need to facilitate a forensics analysis. So throughout, I took a nice talk, the last DEF CON, Jenko H. Wong. I hope I pronounce properly the name. If not, I apologize in advance. New phishing attack exploiting OAuth authentication flows. I like the talk, straight to the point, a bit low the voice, but go for that. He will give you an overview on Office 365. It's well structured also the video because it's showing real time. The guy obviously is running from a video, so he's stopping and play. Really well done. 45 minutes well spent. So you have a URL here on the top. So now that we browse everything was identity related in terms of trusted domain because it's one of the most common. In architecture term, you can find trusted and untrusted domain. So that definition is generally between an environment that is your own, where you have complete accountability as well, and a domain that, for example, you connect a branch office through MPLS is a trusted domain because in somehow you allow that through that media, but not everything is passing through that is probably authenticated. Can be some resident service connecting to something connecting to your environment, passing through LAN in something that you trust. Also from an information security standing point in terms of incident response, is like you gave trust to them, but you don't know what is. So it's the reason why MPLS, last lesson we spoke a lot about it, is having demarcation line with a firewall. You can cut off the line, whatever you can think of, but you need to think also on components, what is trusted, what is untrusted, the supply chain. So you'll see these terms repeated over and over and over. You need to understand if it's terms that we are using in terms of identity or in terms of supply chain is trusted. And so you always have trust in something, you switch on, the first trust is on the BIOS. So it's always defining your demarcation line of your trust. It's not easy, and it's zero trust model. Suppose that is binded to this concept of a trust. But we need to step and understand how is exploited in terms of malware, how is exploited in terms of attack surface, and which kind of attack pattern we are providing. Attack surface, attack vector, lateral move are terms that you hear over and over and over, but not always in the right context. Attack surface is not only what you can scan in a PCI mandatory external scan, ESV. It's actually everything is an attack surface, including IAM. So not having a bloodhound kind of visibility of your attack pattern is a gap that you suffer on the long run. So stop to think about infrastructure only in terms of assets and focus on data. Don't focus only on as attack surface on what is exposed. When you have pivoting, each stage of a pivoting, the attack surface is what can be seen. Doing the attack pivoting after the MZ and check the lateral move pattern across east-west is obviously relevant because you have to decrease the attack surface at that stage, and it's called segmentation. And so whatever is the context is extremely relevant. So in infrastructure security consultant course like the one that I designed, that is quite unique because you don't find around it many talking about infrastructure in this way, I'm trying to stress, like the terms, understand what's the general meaning, how they can be used, how they can be misunderstood, but keep real what is for you, what you need to know to evaluate an environment. Attack surface, understand that most are referring to the MZ stuff, but for you, it need to be also something like that in to see all attack pattern. Okay, I hope you found it interesting. Subscribe the channel. I would appreciate any feedback. I'm trying to keep up. As you see, it's a lot of work. I'm trying to be consistent and to follow the syllabus. The next one is about DNS. It's a tough topic too. As you see, the chapter one is full of topics that are the foundation of infrastructure. And obviously DNS is a big foundation of that. So let's talk soon. And thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate the time that you spend watching this video. Thanks for that. Take care. Bye bye.